The rain hit like a slap from God himself, turning the Brooklyn sidewalk into a river of regret before I even crossed the threshold. "Don't you dare take that mangy beast," Joseph snarled from the doorway, his voice cracking like thunder. But I was already scooping up Whiskers, the cat who'd been my only loyal witness to our unraveling love. As the door slammed shut behind me, final, unforgiving as a coffin lid, I clutched the broken umbrella in one hand. Its spokes splayed like shattered dreams, and stepped into the storm that mirrored the one raging in my chest. I was Matthew Riley, 32 years old, a graphic designer scraping by in the shadow of the Williamsburg Bridge. And in that moment, I knew I'd just lost the man who'd promised me forever in a candlelit diner over pastrami sandwiches and cheap Merlot. But Whiskers purred against my ribs, a tiny heartbeat defying the downpour. And for the first time in months, I felt something sharper than pain. Freedom, raw and unfiltered, slicing through the hurt like a switchblade. The cab ride back to my own shoebox apartment in Bushwick was a blur of yellow headlights cutting through the deluge, the driver muttering about crazy cats in the rain, while I paid him with wet singles that stuck to my fingers like accusations. Whiskers huddled in my lap, oblivious to the chaos, his fur matted into sad spikes that I absent-mindedly smoothed as the city lights smeared past. Joseph's words echoed louder than the wiper's frantic rhythm. "You're choosing a fucking cat over us?" But it wasn't about Whiskers, not really. It was about the lies I'd swallowed for 2 years, the way Joseph's charm had masked the rot underneath, like a brownstone facade hiding crumbling brick. We'd met at a queer art crawl in Chelsea, the kind of event where trust fund poets rub elbows with drag queens nursing gin and tonics. I was there sketching logos for a startup that ghosted me the next week, my sketchpad propped on a knee as I captured the swirl of rainbow flags and leather harnesses under gallery lights. Joseph sauntered in like he owned the room, tall, broad-shouldered, with that effortless Irish-American swagger. His dark hair tousled just so, green eyes scanning the crowd like he was casting for his next role. He was an actor, or so he said, hustling auditions between bartending shifts at some dive in the East Village. "You draw like you're undressing the soul," he said, peering over my shoulder at a quick portrait of a go-go dancer mid-twirl. I laughed, heat rising in my cheeks, and handed him the page. "Keep it. Souvenirs are free tonight." That night bled into dawn at his place, a walk-up in bed-stewy with creaky floors and a view of nothing but fire escapes. We talked about everything and nothing. His Catholic guilt from a Queen's upbringing, my nomadic childhood bouncing between Philly rowhouses and my mom's diner shifts in Jersey. Sex came easy, the kind that leaves you boneless and believing in fate. By morning, he was frying eggs in nothing but boxers, quoting Kerouac while I traced the freckles across his back. "This city's a beast," he said, sliding a plate my way. "But with you, feels like I could tame it." Those early months were pure New York magic, the gritty romantic kind that rom-coms sanitize, but we lived in Technicolor. We'd chase food trucks down Houston Street at midnight, splitting falafel wraps while he belted show tunes off-key, drawing stares from Hasidim and hipsters alike. Summers meant rooftop barbecues with his theater buddies, where I'd sketch caricatures that had everyone howling, Joseph pulling me onto his lap under strings of Edison bulbs, whispering, "You're my anchor, Maddie. Don't ever forget." Winters, we'd hole up with hot toddies and binge old Hepburn films, his head on my chest as snow dusted the window like powdered sugar. Whiskers showed up one October, a scrawny stray I'd found yowling under my stoop, ribs sharp as accusations. Joseph tolerated him at first, tossing kibble with a smirk. "Your bleeding heart's gonna bankrupt us, babe." But cracks spiderwebbed in slow motion, the way they do in this city, unseen until the whole foundation shakes. Joseph's additions dried up, or so he claimed, and the bar shifts stretched into all-nighters that smelled of whiskey and other men's cologne. I'd wait up, sketching concepts for freelance gigs that paid the rent while he stumbled in at 3 a.m., eyes glassy, excuses tumbling out like loose change. "Rough crowd, that's all." I'd nod, swallowing the doubt, because love in Brooklyn means forgiving the fog, right? Until the night I found the text on his phone, glowing like a neon sign in the dark. "Last night was fire. When's round 2? M. M for Matthew? No. M for Marcus or Mike, or whoever the fuck was stealing pieces of my Joseph. I confronted him over cold pizza in his kitchen, whiskers weaving between our ankles like a furry mediator. It's nothing, Maddie. A stupid fling. Means jack shit compared to us. His voice was velvet over gravel, those green eyes pleading, and damn if I didn't want to believe him. We patched it with desperate kisses, promises etched in the steam of a shower that scalded my skin. But trust is a fragile thing in the relentless grind of American dreams deferred. His resentment festered, aimed at me, at Whiskers, at the cat who scratched his vintage couch one too many times. By spring, the fights were symphonies of slammed doors and hurled barbs. "You're suffocating me," he'd roar, pacing the living room like a caged panther. I'd counter with whispers, "I'm just trying to hold on," my voice breaking as I reached for him. Sex turned weaponized. Tender one night, punishing the next, leaving bruises that bloomed like dark roses on my hips. Friends noticed, pulling me aside at brunches in Dumbo. "He's toxic, Matt. Walk." But walking felt like admitting defeat, like the kid in me who watched his parents splinter over unpaid bills, vowing I'd build something unbreakable. The breaking point came on a muggy July evening, the kind where the air hangs heavy with exhaust and unspoken truths. I'd come home early from a client pitch in Midtown, arms laden with grocery bags, steaks for his favorite marinade, a six-pack of that IPA he pretended was craft. The apartment reeked of sweat and something floral, unfamiliar. Joseph's phone buzzed on the counter, screen lighting up with a name I knew too well from those late-night whispers. Marcus. No, wait. The contact was saved as Jim Buddy, but the message read, "Can't wait to feel you inside me again. Your place, 8. I dropped the bags, milk spilling like tears across linoleum, and when he emerged from the bedroom, shirtless, towel slung low, eyes widening in that split-second horror, I saw it all. The rumpled sheets, the condom wrapper glinting on the nightstand like fool's gold. "Maddie, wait," he started. But I was already backing toward the door, heart hammering a dirge. Whiskers, sensing the storm, bolted to my legs, yowling. "How long?" I choked out, the words tasting like bile. He deflated, shoulders slumping. "A few months. It's not, I love you, man. This is just release. Release." As if I were the pressure cooker, not the partner. We tore into each other then, words flying like shrapnel. His accusations of my clinginess, my sketches cluttering his creative space. My litany of his broken promises, the nights I ate alone while he chased validation in dark bars. It ended with me grabbing Whiskers' carrier, Joseph's hand clamping my wrist. "Leave the cat. He's mine too." But Whiskers hissed, claws out, and in that feral loyalty, I found my spine. "No, he's the only honest thing here." I stormed out into the hallway, elevator descent a freefall mirroring my gut. By the time I hit the street, the sky had cracked open, rain sheeting down in biblical fury. The umbrella, his, a cheap drugstore thing I'd fixed a dozen times, snapped in the gale as I hailed the cab, spokes twisting like Joseph's lies. Now, blocks away, the city a watery haze, I buried my face in Whiskers' fur, inhaling the faint must of home. My phone buzzed, Joseph's text, "Come back, we can fix this." Delete. Another, "Fuck you and your flea bag." That one I screenshotted, a digital scar for the inevitable therapy sessions ahead. Back in Bushwick, my place was a sanctuary of organized chaos. Sketchpads stacked like Jenga towers, posters of Bosky, peeling at the edges, a window box of herbs wilting from neglect. I toweled Whiskers dry, his purr a bomb as I collapsed onto the futon, the rain drumming a relentless tattoo on the fire escape. Sleep came in fits, dreams of Joseph's laugh morphing into sneers, waking me with salt on my lips. Dawn broke gray and indifferent, coffee brewing as I scrolled job boards, half-hearted applications to LA firms whispering escape. But New York was in my bones, the pulse of subways, the anonymity of crowds. Leaving felt like amputation. A knock shattered the quiet. Through the peephole, tousled blonde hair, a lopsided grin I hadn't seen in months. Daniel, my across-the-hall neighbor, the barista/novelist who'd crashed more than one of our parties with his dry wit and endless supply of microbrews. "Heard the feline apocalypse from my wall," he said when I cracked the door, holding out a paper bag that smelled of fresh bagels and lox. "Figured you could use reinforcements." His blue eyes, sharp as a winter sky, scanned me, not pitying, but seeing. "Joseph's a prick, Matt. Always has been." We ate cross-legged on my floor, Whiskers batting at cream cheese smears, Daniel spinning tales of his latest rejection from some lit mag in San Fran. Laughter bubbled up, unexpected, loosening the knot in my throat. "You deserve better," he said softly, hand brushing mine. A spark, innocent or not, that made me pull back. Not ready. Not yet. But as he left, slipping me his number with a wink, I felt the first stir of possibility, like sunlight piercing storm clouds. Days blurred into a haze of survival mode. Freelance deadlines met in caffeine-fueled marathons. Runs along the East River where the skyline mocked my smallness. Evenings with Whiskers curled on my chest, his heartbeat sinking mine. Joseph's calls went to voicemail, voicemails deleted unheard. Until the package arrived, brown paper wrapped, no return address. Inside, my favorite mug, chipped from that first diner date, and a note in his scrawl. "Miss your coffee. Miss you. Jay." I hurled it into the sink, shards scattering like my resolve. But the ache lingered, a phantom limb. It was at a gallery opening in Soho that fate or masochism re-intervened. I was there for a friend's show, nursing a warm white wine, when Joseph's laugh cut through the murmur like a spotlight. There he was, arms slung around a lithe brunette with tattoos snaking up her neck. But no, wait. Turning, it was Marcus, the gym buddy, his hand possessive on Joseph's waist. Our eyes locked across the room, his widening in panic, mine narrowing to slits. He disentangled, approaching with that actor's poise, Marcus trailing like a shadow. "Maddie, hey, didn't expect." "Save it," I hissed, voice low to avoid the scene. "Enjoy your release." Marcus smirked, but Joseph grabbed my elbow, pulling me into an alcove strung with fairy lights. "It's over with him, I swear. I fucked up, but you're the one I want." His breath was minty, close, stirring memories I'd buried. For a heartbeat, I leaned in, lips brushing his in a ghost of forgiveness. Then reality crashed. Whiskers at home, waiting. The lies, stacking like unpaid bills. I shoved him back hard. "Too late, Joe. We're done." I fled into the night, subway rattling me home, the city's underbelly a mirror to my turmoil. But in the quiet of my apartment, scrolling Instagram for distraction, a DM popped up, from Daniel. "Saw you bolt from that gallery. Drinks? No pressure." I typed back, thumbs trembling. "Yeah, tomorrow." Small steps, but in the American gospel of reinvention, they count. The bar Daniel picked was a hole-in-the-wall off Bedford Avenue, the kind with sticky floors and a jukebox stocked with Springsteen and early Jay-Z, fairy lights twinkling like hesitant stars over scarred wooden tables. I arrived early, nerves jangling like loose change, ordering a whiskey neat to steady the shake in my hands. Whiskers had eyed me suspiciously as I left, as if sensing the leap I was taking. "Just drinks," I told the mirror, but the cologne I'd spritzed, Joseph's old scent, damn it, said otherwise. Daniel slid into the booth 10 minutes later, wind blown from the bike ride over, his flannel shirt rolled to elbows revealing forearms dusted with blonde hair. "You look like you could use this," he said, clinking his IPA against my glass, foam sloshing like an apology. We talked easy at first, his stalled novel about a queer drifter in the Dust Bowl, my latest gig designing album art for an indie folk band out of Austin. Laughter came quicker than I'd expected, his impressions of pretentious MFA types leaving me wheezing, head thrown back. For the first time since the storm, the weight on my chest lifted, if only a fraction. But shadows creep in with the second round. "So, Joseph," he ventured, tracing the rim of his glass. "He always this much of a hurricane?" I sighed, the whiskey loosening tongues and truths. I spilled it all, the electric start, the slow poison of betrayal, Marcus's smug face at the gallery. Daniel listened, not interrupting, his knee brushing mine under the table in silent solidarity. "Sounds like he was casting you as the sidekick in his own drama," he said finally, voice gentle but edged. "You're the lead, Matt. Time to write your own script." We closed the place down, stumbling into the cool September air, arms linked against the chill. At my door, he paused, thumb grazing my jaw in a touch that sparked like static. "Nightcap," I murmured, pulse thundering. Inside, it was tentative, kisses tasting of hops and hesitation, hands exploring with the care of cartographers mapping new terrain. No rush, no possession. Just two bodies remembering how to trust. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender detergent, he traced patterns on my back. "This doesn't have to be a rebound. Could be a beginning." Morning brought coffee and clarity, Daniel slipping out for his shift at the cafe down the block, leaving a note. "Pancakes tomorrow? Your place." I smiled, real this time, as Whiskers headbutt my ankle for breakfast. Work pulled me under, a rush project for a queer nonprofit, logos pulsing with pride flags and bold sans serif fonts. Deadlines blurred days, but evenings with Daniel wove gold through the gray. Picnics in Prospect Park where we'd feed each other grapes, debating Scorsese versus Tarantino under oak canopies. Poetry slams in the village, his hand in mine as spoken-word artists bared souls on stage. Joseph, meanwhile, simmered on the back burner. Text sporadic like aftershocks. "Thinking of you. Saw your art online, killer." I blocked him after the 10th. The silence a bomb. Until the call came, late October. My mom's voice tinny over the line from her Jersey split level. "Your cousin's wedding next month, hon." Joseph's on the invite said he'd come solo. My stomach twisted. Cousin Lisa's nuptials in Philly. A Catholic extravaganza of white lace and open bars. I'd planned to skip, but Mom's plea, "Family, Matthew. It's what we do," guilt me in. The wedding was a whirlwind of taffeta and toasts. The reception hall decked in twinkling lights and centerpieces of calla lilies that wilted under fluorescent glare. I arrived stag, tie loosened, nursing a gin and tonic at the bar when Joseph materialized, suit tailored sharp, that rogue grin flashing like a warning. "Maddie, you clean up nice." We clinked glasses, small talk skating surface. His latest audition for a Netflix pilot, my freelance bump to full-time at the nonprofit. But alcohol loosens leashes, and soon we were on the dance floor, slow swaying to At Last. His hand warm on my waist, breath hot against my ear. "I missed this. Us." I pulled back, the spell cracking. "Us was a lie, Joe." His face crumpled, boyish vulnerability peeking through the bravado. "I know. I was scared. Of settling, of failing you like Dad failed Mom." We talked then, really talked, retreating to a quiet balcony overlooking the Schuylkill River, city lights winking like conspirators. He confessed the betrayal stemmed from a role he landed then lost, ego shattered, seeking solace in arms that meant nothing. "You were my safe harbor." I torpedoed it. Tears streaked his cheeks, and mine, the raw honesty a knife-twisting sweet. We tumbled into a hotel room that night, bodies colliding in a frenzy of forgiveness and fury. Nails raking, lips bruising, whispers of sorry, gasped between thrusts. Dawn found us spent, his head on my pillow, but as he slept, doubt crept in like fog off the river. Was this love, or just the gravity of old habits? I slipped out before he woke, leaving a note. "Needed space. Call Daniel if you want the full story." Back in Brooklyn, Daniel waited with open arms and no questions, our nights deepening into something solid, unspoken promises in the curve of his smile. Winter clamped down hard, blizzards blanketing the city in hush, holiday lights strung across Myrtle Avenue. But Joseph's ghost lingered in carols and cinnamon scents. He showed up on Christmas Eve, snow-dusted, bearing a tree in a bucket and a bottle of eggnog spiked heavy. Daniel was out of town, visiting family in Maine, so I let him in, the apartment aglow with tinsel and regret. We decorated in tipsy silence, ornaments clinking like confessions. "I ended it with Marcus," he said, hanging a star. For real this time. Then softer. For you. The kiss under mistletoe was inevitable, snowballing into the bedroom, his body familiar as a well-worn path. But midway, phone buzzing, Daniel's face lighting the screen, I froze. Joseph saw, deflating. Him, huh? Not accusation, just resignation. I nodded, disentangling. Yeah, he's real, Joe. Not a script. He dressed in the dark, pausing at the door. Merry Christmas, Maddie. Be happy. The latch clicked, final as frost. New Year's brought resolutions and revelations. Daniel and I rang it in at a queer ball in Manhattan, sequins and strobe lights. His lips on mine at midnight amid cheers and confetti. But January thawed secrets. A mutual friend spilled that Joseph had been auditioning callbacks with Marcus as inspiration. Their fling reignited post-wedding. Betrayal's second strike, sharper for the false thaw. Rage boiled, but Daniel tempered it. Don't let him steal your light, Matt. Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms dusting the park like confetti from a mended heart. My designs went viral for the nonprofit Billboards Uptown bearing my name, a quiet vindication. Daniel's novel found a small press, readings packed with admirers. We talked future, maybe a sublet together, road trip down Route 66 in summer. But Joseph's shadow loomed, a call from Mom. He's in rehab, hon. Pills after the pilot fell through. Pity ward with protectiveness. The boy I'd loved buried under the man he'd become. I visited once, sterile facility in upstate, his eyes clear but haunted. I get it now, he rasped, hands cuffed by 4 lines. You were the best thing. I was too broken to keep you. We hugged goodbye, no sparks, just closure's quiet ache. Driving back, Hudson Valley unfolding green and gold. I cranked the radio. Bruce Springsteen wailing about thunder roads, and felt the chains slip. Summer hit Brooklyn like a fever dream, asphalt shimmering, ice cream trucks chiming their siren call through haze-thick streets. Daniel and I christened the season with a weekend getaway to the Catskills. A borrowed cabin with a sagging porch and a lake that mirrored stars like forgotten wishes. We hiked trails lined with ferns, his laughter echoing off granite faces as we raced to summits, collapsing in heaps of sweat and kisses. Evenings meant bonfires crackling, Esmore's sticky sweet. His head in my lap as I read aloud from his manuscript, voice weaving tales of outcasts finding home. You're my muse, you know? He murmured one night, fingers interlacing with mine. Fireflies pulsing around us like living lanterns. I kissed his temple, tasting salt and smoke. Nah, we're each other's. Team effort. It felt true, this easy rhythm. No pedestals, just 2 souls sinking in the American sprawl of second chances. Back in the city, life layered on. My first solo exhibit at a loft in Greenpoint, canvases of urban queer icons in bold strokes and hidden hearts. Daniel's launch party drew a crowd, Joseph notably absent, his rehab stint stretching into outpatient therapy. But peace is a fragile construct in a town built on reinvention's edge. August brought the heat wave from hell, tempers flaring with the mercury. I was deep in a project, rebranding for a Harlem LGBTQ center, when the email pinged. From Joseph's agent, Jimmy on a personal note. Attached script pages, an indie film shooting in the fall. A queer romance, raw and redemptive, with a lead role tailor-made for him. The note read, Joe's clean, killing additions. Thinks you'd nail the art direction. Dinner to discuss. Temptation coiled like humidity. Dinner at our old haunt. The diner on Knickerbocker with vinyl booths and pie that flaked like autumn leaves. Joseph arrived polished, sober eyes bright, no trace of the wreckage. Maddie, you look alive. We ordered pastrami like old times, steam rising between us as he pitched. A story of 2 men fractured by secrets, rebuilding on a cross-country drive. It's us, he said, voice low. The good parts, what we could have been. Flattery warmed, but Daniel's text buzzed mid-meal. Miss you. Home soon. Grounding me. I can't, I said, fork pausing. Not like that. But the film? Knock it out. I'll send sketches, no strings. He nodded, hurt flickering, but pride edging in. Fair. You're a good guy, Matt. Deserve the world. We parted with a handshake, the diner door jingling like a period. Fall foliage turned the burrows to fire, and with it, commitments deepened. Daniel and I signed a lease on a one-bedroom in Bed-Stuy, ironic, steps from Joseph's old haunt, with exposed brick and a bay window for my drafting table. Moving day was chaos. Boxes teetering, whiskers protesting from his carrier, laughs echoing as we christened the space with takeout Thai and a bottle of Prosecco. To new chapters, Daniel toasted, glasses clinking, his free hand tracing my knee under the table. But chapters overlap in messy ink. Joseph's film greenlit, shooting in upstate, and he invited me to set for a day observer, not participant. I went, curious, Daniel's blessing a soft, go heal that scar. The location was a leaf-strewn farmstead, cameras rolling on a scene of reconciliation under harvest moon. Joseph nailed it, vulnerability pouring out in lines that echoed our history. Afterward, around a craft services fire pit, he confided, therapy's kicking my ass. Learning I sabotage what I love most. Marcus was ancient history, replaced by group sessions and a sponsor named Pete. You were my first real shot at brave. Pride swelled unbidden. For the man he'd become, the wreckage we'd both survived. I clapped his shoulder. Keep swinging, Joe. You've got this. Driving home, leaves swirling in my wake, I called Daniel, voice thick. It's closed. For good. His reply, knew you would. Pizza to celebrate. November chill nipped at Thanksgiving. Mom's table groaning with turkey and yams. Aunts quizzing Daniel on his intentions, with winks that made him blush. Joseph sent a card store-bought, but signed grateful for the rewrite. And I pinned it to the fridge, a talisman of grace. The holiday hum deepened our bond. Nights tangled in flannel sheets. Whispers of I love you, slipping out like secrets shared in the dark. Then December, the hammer fell. Not Joseph's, but fate's cruel swing. Daniel's editor called. The novel deal expanded. Tour kicking off in January. Coast-to-coast readings from Seattle to Miami. It's huge, Matt, he said. Eyes alight over takeout lo mein. But 3 months away. Excitement warred with dread. The distance a chasm in our fresh foundation. We'll make it work, I insisted, masking the tremor. Phone dates, weekend flights, America's vastness suddenly a foe. His departure was airport banal. JFK security line. A kiss that lingered too long. Whiskers toy mouse in his carry-on as a talisman. Call every night, he murmured, backing through the scanner. The drive home was a void, apartment echoing with his absence. My sketches turning somber. Shadowed figures reaching across divides. Joseph checked in. Intuitive. Rough patch. Over beers at a quiet pub. I unloaded. His nod empathetic. Distance tests the real stuff. Mine with you? Failed 'cause I was half-assed. His? Bet on it. January bit hard. Snowdrifts barricading stoops. Daniel's voice crackling from Portland hotel rooms. Fatigue edging his laughs. Texts piled. Miss your hands. Read your latest design, sexy as hell. But silences stretched. My freelance drying up in post-holiday slump. Doubts festering like cabin fever. A blizzard stranded me indoors, binging old films, when Joseph's knock came. Unannounced, bearing hot cocoa and a script for his next gig. We talked till dawn. Fire escape dusted white. His stories of set life a distraction from the ache. Comfort turned confessional. Still think about you sometimes? He admitted, gaze on the skyline. Not like before, just, what if? My heart stuttered, but loyalty held. What if doesn't rewrite now? He smiled, sad sweet. Yeah, go get your guy. February's thaw brought Valentine's. A care package from Daniel. Leather-bound sketchpad, his handwriting scrawled inside, for the man who draws my heart. Tears pricked as I sketched us, intertwined against cityscapes. But the tour dragged, calls shorter, his world expanding while mine contracted. A week later, the email, need to talk. Call when you're up. It was over, gentle as a gut punch. The road's changing me, Matt. I love you, But I need to chase this solo. Betrayal's echo, softer but no less shattering. I hung up, numb, then dialed Joseph. Not for solace, but truth. It ended. His silence stretched. Then, come over. We'll get through. His apartment was unchanged. Ghosts in every corner. But that night, grief poured out unjudged. No lines crossed, just arms around shoulders, tears soaking shirts. Dawn brought clarity. Pain as teacher, love as verb, not possession. You're stronger than this, he said, coffee steaming between us. Always were. Spring equinox, I packed a bag, solo road trip, Route 66 calling like a siren song. First stop, Chicago, wind whipping off the lake as I sketched millennials in dive bars. Their stories a mosaic of resilience. Joseph's film premiered to raves, his face on indie blogs. Our text exchange a simple, proud, mutual, unburdened. In Tulsa, a dive motel with neon buzzing, I met eyes across the bar. A cowboy type, Stetson tipped, drawl thick as molasses. You look lost, darling. Flirtation sparked, but I demurred, heart still mending. The road healed in miles. Grand Canyon sunsets painting hope. Vegas lights a blur of reinvention. By California coast, waves crashing like applause, I called Mom. I'm good, really, and meant it. The Pacific glittered like shattered promises under Santa Monica sun. But I wasn't chasing shards anymore. I was whole, pieced from road dust and diner dawns. Back in Brooklyn by May, tan lines and a journal fat with sketches. The city welcomed me with its familiar roar. Vendors hawking halal carts, subways rumbling prophecies. Joseph's rap party invite waited in email, low-key loft in Tribeca. Friends only. I went, underdressed in jeans and a faded tee. The crowd a mix of grips and ingenues buzzing on craft cocktails. He found me by the charcuterie spread, pulling me into a bear hug that smelled of cedar cologne and success. Road warrior returns, he grinned, clinking his seltzer. Still sober, still swinging. We talked shop. His co-star's diva antics. My canyon watercolors catching a gallerist's eye. No undercurrents, just the easy camaraderie of survivors. Daniel? He asked casual. Ancient history. Learning to love the alone. Lie half true. The sting lingered, but so did growth. Summer simmered into collaborations. Me storyboarding his next script. A queer western with grit and grace. Late nights at his place. Whiskers tolerated on the couch. Pizza boxes piling as ideas flowed. Platonic fire, creative alchemy. Joseph's laugh a reminder that bonds evolve, not expire. Daniel's tour wrapped with a book on shelves. Our paths crossing at a Litquake panel in the village. Awkward waves across the room. His new arm Candy, a poet with sleeve tattoos. Hey, he said later, post-reading mingle. You look radiant. We hugged. Brief, the chapter closed with kindness. Fall's palette turned the high line to flame. An opportunity knocked. A design firm in Portland scouting talent. Relocation package gleaming. Think about it. My boss emailed. PNW's queer scenes exploding. Temptation tugged. Rain-soaked evergreens. Distance from ghosts. But Brooklyn's hooks sank deep. I countered with a sabbatical 3 months to test waters. Joseph threw a send-off. Rooftop rager with his theater crew. Skyline toasting my temporary exile. The flight west was champagne bubbles. Landing in a city of bridges and breweries. Sublet a cozy A-frame overlooking the Willamette. Days blurred into freelance bliss. Murals for a trans youth center. Coffee shop sketches amid hipsters and ever rain. Nights, dive bars pulsing with folk punk. Where I met Theo, barback with a poet's soul, dark curls and dimples that disarmed. You draw the light in people, he said, peering at my napkin doodle of the bartender's laugh lines. Beers led to walks along the waterfront. His hand brushing mine in accidental on purpose. It was light, this flirtation, no declarations, just the joy of possibility. We hiked Multnomah Falls, mist kissing cheeks as he recited Neruda under the spray. Love's not a cage, he said, eyes on the rainbow arcing water. It's the current carrying you. Echoes of Daniel, of Joseph, but Theo's version fresh, unscarred. Back east for holidays. Mom's eyes twinkled at tales of the Oregon boy. Aunts piping, bring him next time. January thawed into renewal, Joseph's film netting festival nods. Him jetting to Sundance in Park City powder. Ace it, I texted. His reply a selfie. Snow-dusted grin. Your boards got me here. Portland deepened. Theo and I cooking paella in my kitchen. Salsa spilling like laughter. Bodies sinking slow under flannel comforters. But cracks whispered. His ex, a musician touring Europe, emails laced with nostalgia. Just friends, Theo insisted, but doubt's vine crept. February's gray lifted for a queer film fest, Joseph in town for a Q&A. We caught his screening. His character, a drifter finding queer kin in dusty towns. Raw with redemption. Post-panel, beers at a brew pub, he grilled gently. This Theo, he treat you right? I nodded, but confessed the flicker. Trust's a muscle, sore from reps. Joseph leaned in, sage now. Listen to the quiet parts. That's where truth hides. March brought bloom and blowback. Theo's ex returned, tickets in hand for a reconciliation tour. I need to try, he said over dim sum, eyes pleading. Heartache revisited. But this time, I stood firm. Go, but know you're enough solo. He left, tears and all, the A-frame echoing anew. Joseph's call came timely. Heard. Fly home. Brooklyn misses its king. Eastbound. Willamette fading. I journaled mid-flight. Betrayals as bridges burned. Each fire forging steel. Landing, Joseph's hug at baggage claim. Familial. Fierce. Crash at mine till you sort. His place felt less haunted. Walls lined with my storyboards. Whiskers claiming a sunbeam by the window. Days rebuilt. Job reinstated. Exhibit sales funding a studio space in Bushwick. Daniel crossed paths at a cafe. His poet ghosted. Commiseration coffees turning friendly. Spring equinox again. Cherry petals confetti. And a script reading at Joseph's. Ensemble cast. My designs projected backdrop. Laughter-laced lines. Post-rehearsal toast his eyes on me. Couldn't without you, partner. Word hung, ambiguous, creative, perhaps more. But I demurred, heart-weary. Instead, a solo jaunt to Coney Island, boardwalk creaking underfoot. Cyclone scream a catharsis. There, amid cotton candy haze, a stranger's smile. Barista from a boardwalk stand. Easy chat over knishes. No, not yet. Home to sketch it. Figures in flux, loving without losing self. Joseph's premiere loomed. Red carpet in Hollywood. Invite extended. Be my +1? Temptation, closure's bow. I went. Palm trees swaying like applause. His hand in mine on the carpet. Friends, the flashes agreed. After-party swirl. Stars orbiting. His whisper amid din. This is it, Maddie. The dream. I squeezed back. You earned it. We both did. Return flight. City lights below like neural nets. I texted Theo. Wishing you currents true. Reply. Learning to swim straight. You. Diving deep. June heatwave, nonprofit gala, my design center stage. Daniel toasting from afar. Joseph's rap on awards season. Sober milestone marked with a keychain. 1 year. Pride Month parades. Rainbows rioting streets. I marched with queer kin. Banner high. Love wins on our terms. But July's dog days brewed storm. A mutual pal spilled. Joseph, post-premiere high. Slipped. Coke at an after-party. Sponsor on speed dial. He's spiraling. The text read. I drove to his, finding him curled on bathroom tile. Vomit acrid. Eyes hollow. Ruined it all. He sobbed as I held him. Ambulance sirens wailing coda. Hospital vigil. Fluorescent hum. His hand limp in mine. Don't leave. Not going anywhere. I whispered, truth in the tether. Recovery redux. Rehab round 2. Me shuttling care packages. Sketches of sunrises. Whiskers paw prints stamped. Letters exchanged. His scrawl shaky. You're my North Star. Always. Platonic anchor. humanistic hold. August cooled. Daniel's novel sequel in works. Coffees evolving to brunches with his new beau, walls down. Glad you're steady, he said, genuine. Labor Day weekend, Joseph's discharge. Clean, contrite, group home transition. Pickup drive, Hudson winding, we blasted mixtapes. Springsteen to Sam Smith, windows down, wind-whipping confessions. I love you, Joe. As family. His nod. Tears drying. Ditto. Blood or chosen. Brooklyn welcomed. Stoops alive with block parties. My studio blooming canvases of queer tapestries. Lovers, loners, legacies. September's back-to-school buzz. Opportunity. Adjunct gig at Pratt, teaching design to wide-eyed queers. First class, syllabus in hand. A face in the back row. Quiet intensity, sketchpad open. Name, Elias, transfer from RASD, eyes like aged whiskey. Office hours chat turned coffee run. His tales of rural Maine closets cracked open mirroring mine. No rush, walks in Fort Greene, falafel splits, hands brushing in bookstores. October harvest, Joseph's pilot renewed. Him thriving in Vancouver shoots. Visit? Texts flew, but I stayed rooted. Elias's laugh filling gaps. Thanksgiving redux, Mom's table expanded, Elias tentative, aunts approving with pie slices. He's a keeper, she whispered post-meal. Maybe. Winter's grip loosened into 2026's tentative spring. Cherry blossoms defiant against late frosts, mirroring the thaw in my veins. Elias and I navigated slow burn. Gallery crawls in Dumbo where he'd critique my lines with gentle precision. Bold here, vulnerability there. Nights coding his app prototypes while I sketched interfaces, synergy sparking beyond screens. Joseph's Vancouver dispatches arrived weekly. Set photos of snow-capped peaks, voice memos laced with gratitude. Miss the stoops, man. And you. Replies. Thumbs up emojis. Inside jokes. The friendship a sturdy oak. But May's bloom hid thorns. Elias's ex from RISD resurfaced. NYC bound for a tech conference. Just coffee proposed. I nodded trust, but vigilance prickled when hours stretched to midnight. His return reeking of craft beer and excuses. Old times, nothing more. Echoes of Joseph, of Daniel, but I voiced it calm. Transparency, Eli. Or we stall. His apology was fervent, kisses sealing packed, but seed planted, doubt's quiet root. June pride thrummed electric, parades a tide of glitter and chance. Elias and I arm in arm amid floats and feathers. Joseph's flight landed mid-fest, crashing our after-party at a rooftop in Crown Heights. Drag brunches bleeding into dusk dances. He scooped me into a spin, Elias laughing from the sidelines. This one's a gem, Joe approved later. Over rooftop rails, city pulsing below. Don't torpedo it. I clinked his mocktail. Learning from the best. July heat baked confessions. Elias admitted the coffee bled into dinner. A kiss stolen in nostalgia's haze. It meant zilch, he swore. But the fracture ran deep. We paused, space, not split. Him crashing with a roommate. Me reclaiming solo nights with whiskers and canvases raw with rage. Joseph's ear bent over transatlantic calls. Betrayal's a teacher, not a tomb. Feel it, then forgive or walk. Wisdom hard won, his Vancouver steadiness a beacon. August dog days, a workshop in Provincetown called Queer Artists Retreat, Dunes and Lighthouses Promising Purge. I went, alone, salt air scouring wounds. There, amid lobster bakes and bonfire shares, stories swirled. Lovers lost to distance, secrets unearthed in sand. One night, under Milky Way sprawl, a fellow painter, Javier, from Miami, tattoos like tidal maps, shared his sketch of fractured hearts mending mosaic. Beauty in the breaks, he said, easel between us. Sparks flew, innocent, a reminder. Desire's ocean, vast and varied. Return fortified. Elias waiting with wilted daisies and a plea. Therapy, together. If you'll have me. We tried. Sessions in a walk-up office, unpacking closets and communications. His hand in mine through tears. Progress patchwork, but real. Joseph's pilot finale wrapped. Him stateside for hiatus, crashing my studio for a weekend. We binged diners, sketched scripts, his eyes on Elias appraising. Solid. Keep him honest. Laughter healed, old scars faint. Fall foliage crowned Central Park gold, and opportunity doubled. My exhibit toured to LA, Elias tagging for tech meets. Cross-country drive, Route 66 Redux, but tandem, deserts blooming cacti symphonies, his playlist mixing indie folk with Bad Bunny. Hollywood buzzed, my panels packed, his pitch landing seed funding. Nights in Silver Lake bungalows. Bodies rediscovering trust, slow and sacred. November elections loomed, nation's pulse erratic, but our bubble held humanistic. Volunteering at polls, canvases of voter voices. Joseph's awards nod. Emmy buzz, him humble in interviews, crediting chosen family with a wink to me. Holiday cards exchanged. His from a Vancouver chalet, mine from mom's Jersey glow, Elias integrated seamless. Winter solstice, a crossroads, Elias's offer from a Silicon Valley giant, relocation whisper. Together? He asked, snow flurrying windows. Heart full but feet planted. Brooklyn's home, but visits? Always. Decision deferred. Love's flexibility tested. New Year's Eve, Joseph's gala invite. Black tie, Lincoln Center sparkle. I went stag, Elias cheering from afar via FaceTime. Amid champagne flutes and flashbulbs, Joseph pulled me aside. Tux crisp, eyes clear. Nominated. Because of you, the fight in that diner, the art in the ache. The win came thunderous, his speech a mic drop. To the ones who stayed, who saw the mess and loved anyway. Matthew, this is yours too. Applause crashed. My throat tight. Text to Elias instant. He nailed it. Miss you. Reply. Proud of both my guys. 2026 dawned crisp. Resolutions rooted. Studio expansion. Elias commuting hybrid. Joseph series greenlit for season 2. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to character. One April afternoon, Bushwick stoop sunning with whiskers purring lapbound. Elias arrived unannounced. Ring box in pocket, not proposal but promise. Build with me? Here, there, everywhere. I pulled him down. Kiss ceiling. Everywhere. Joseph visited set side. Vancouver to Brooklyn. Toasting over pastrami. Full circle, eh? Yeah. From broken umbrellas to boundless skies. The cat still hating none. Purring universal. Life's not plot perfect. No tidy bows. But in the American tapestry of grit and grace, we weave on. Dramatic hearts, emotional anchors, romantic rebels, humanistic to the core. In the end, leaving that apartment wasn't loss, it was launch. The rain washed clean, the cat carried courage, and the man I became? Unbreakable, unapologetic, utterly alive.